When I went to work for the State Department as a senior policy advisor on the Israeli-Palestinian negotiations, my colleagues used an expression I'd never heard before, which was nothing is agreed until everything is agreed. So you've got to have the whole deal or no deal. And they used to say, go big or go home. So we went home and there was a war. So one big takeaway from that big failure, in fact, is to go small. So embrace the doable, and instead of going for the big final status negotiations, look for some small positive progress and use that as momentum. When I was at the State Department, they talked about brokering Israeli-Palestinian peace is like negotiating a divorce in a bad marriage. And today you hear the administration talking about how it's the ultimate real estate deal. So I would argue that to make peace between the Israelis and Palestinians, you don't need a real estate broker and you don't need a divorce lawyer. What you really need is a smart editor. Because although there are concrete, tangible issues at stake, of course, there are borders, there's security, the status of Jerusalem, refugees. There are also the intangibles, and that is at least as important, and that is a clash of national narratives between the Israelis and the Palestinians. And you'll hear the Prime Minister say it, and he means it, when he says that one of only two preconditions for negotiations are that the Palestinians recognize the Jewish state. He's saying that because he's saying my story matters. And on the other hand, the Palestinians also have a narrative, an important narrative that is very important to them, dear to them. For them, the day of independence for Israelis is called the Nakba, the disaster. And they understand very well that they may not win every point at the negotiating table. But if their story, if their narrative is woven into whatever agreement they reach, that's going to be important, and that could get them to yes. So if there are five things that we're negotiating on, if you can get them to agree on two, and like any smart editor who's weaving threads from different reporters and trying to synthesize something coherent, if you can bring that to a happy ending, you've got chapter one, and then yes, you move on to chapter two. And it's the three C's. Every US president, if he wants to succeed in the Middle East, needs clarity, he needs context, or she needs commitment. What do I mean by clarity? I mean, you have to articulate a clear foreign policy, which not every president has done, and match your words with deeds. You can't just say, we believe in this, but not act on it. Now, why is that so important? Because clarity preserves your credibility, and credibility gives you leverage. If you do X, we will do Y, and that's your power anywhere in the world. So number one, clarity. Number two, context. What is your approach? You've got to base it. You've got to base it in whatever context makes sense for the moment. What's happening in the globe, in the economy, what's happening militarily around the world. Context is like an email address. If you don't get it exactly right, your proposals will bounce right back at you. The third thing I would say, the third C, is commitment. So again, if you look at the history of the Middle East, the United States presidents who succeeded were not only committed, they were passionately committed. And Middle Easterners can sniff out ambivalence. I saw this when I went to speak to Israelis and Palestinians during the negotiations. They said, why should we take risks? Why should we make compromises? Your president doesn't really have skin in the game. So I would say, don't come out, don't announce an effort unless your heart is really in it, because you can fake it till you make it with a lot of things in life, but not with